Welcome everybody to today's live webinar at the studios here at Aware Senior Care. We have just a great team of people assembled. We've worked with for many years in the community. They're just wonderful. And we're all gonna talk about our fictitious character, Emma, again, who you'll find out more about in the presentation, who believes she is just in great shape and really is refusing any type of help. And this is what to do when your elderly parent refuses home care. And really keeping the COVID crisis in mind, where we have a stay-at-home degree, it just brings this level of importance even more. So I always like to start with a quote, and this one struck me. I don't know Nathaniel Brandon very well, but he's a writer, poet, American Canadian. And he said, the first step toward change is awareness. The second step is acceptance. So I think a lot of us here, the professionals in the audience, the first part of our job, if you want to call it a job, in the conversation though, is to make people aware. They may not be aware. So once that's done, then it may be an easier conversation to accept help. So I thought this was a very appropriate quote. So today's agenda, first off, I want to introduce this great team that we'll all be together talking about this situation, and then how to approach Emma to hopefully so she sees the light, and it includes a son and daughter, which Gina will talk about, which is kind of fun. We'll talk about typical scenarios and kind of put yourself in their shoes. I want you to sit back, take a deep breath, and think of yourself as Emma and how you react, and it kind of will help with the conversation. And then we'll as a team, Gina will describe Emma's situation, and then we're gonna kind of hand the baton to all the team members to talk about how they would engage Emma from their particular background and experiences. So first, introducing the team. It's my wife and co-founder Aware Senior Care of Aware Senior Care. Marcia Jarrell. Marcia is the executive director of SarahCare, and located in Lake Boone Trail in our great town of Raleigh. And she's been doing that for, I believe, 10 years now. So if you want to know about adult daycare, this is the person to talk to. We have Anne Marie, who is the founder and heart and soul of Silver Linings, who provides wonderful help, social worker, counseling, very key partner to have on your team. And they've helped me with my mother, Emily. Thank you. And then Angela Woodard. Angela is what is quickly becoming more known, but then again, a lot of people don't know a term called aging life care professional. You may hear the term geriatric care manager. They're kind of synonymous. And Angela will talk about taking a role of being kind of like the quarterback of the care team and taking a holistic approach to helping Emma and working with all of us in a team fashion. And then me, I guess I'm the CEO of Aware Senior Care, and I will kind of lead off. And there's a blog that we wrote, and in this blog, a lot of it that we wrote was our experiences with our mothers, Gina and I. So we're kind of start from that perspective. So with that, I wrote this. We put this in here so you can identify with a scenario. I think when you read through these, you'll go, I've had that. That's my situation. So, or I've heard that from my mom or dad. I don't want anyone I don't know coming into the home. Now, even with COVID-19, you can imagine it's even exacerbated. It's like with COVID, I may get sick. I may get infected. But even in non-COVID times, this is a problem. I don't want a stranger coming in my house. I don't know them. And the classic, I'm fine. You're the one that has a problem. That we both heard that. That's great. Mom says she never needed help before, and she's not going to change now. You know, that's probably going to be me. Hey, I can do this. You know what I mean? I got this. Okay, you're 86 now, Dad, and you know your mobility is kind of a problem. My parents simply will not pay for help in the home. They feel they should be doing it on their own. Have you heard that before? You know, they could have millions of dollars, but they got there for a reason. They were penny wise. And even though they can afford it, they're still going to give you pushback on, I should be able to do that. They haven't accepted their situation. And they think accepting help is a weakness, where I found out it's a strength. I can't talk to my parents about getting help on the phone. We're just fighting with each other. Yes, I did. You know, I somehow tried to rationalize with mom, make her feel bad. I was successful, and then click. Okay, maybe I should rethink my strategy. I know I need help, but I just know how to convince them. Yeah, man. Guess what? You got a great team here today that's going to help you with that. So there's some do's and don'ts. I mean, in some of this, you're going to nod your head and go, yes, this makes total sense. Don't try to avoid to be confrontational and push them. That is not easy. You know, I had to learn, you know, through Gina and advice and meeting people like, you know, Marcia and Angela and so forth. Got to kind of, there's times where you just got to take time out. You know, you're not getting through. Pushing them is not going to, so you just got to, we'll visit, you know what, mom, I get it. Let's visit this at another time. Okay. Upsetting them or making them feel bad. The making them feel bad is definitely not a right approach. And I can speak to that myself. So that should not be your goal. I think one of the things that you'll find your goal is to agree with them, you know, take their side and then kind of work from there. You're taking everything away from them to fight back when you agree with them. My way or the highway, yeah, that was me. Try to change them. I think at this point in their lives, with my mom's life, you know, as an 83-year-old, she's not going to transform. And let's put dementia in play and think about that. That's even just worse. So basically, your approach should not be to change. You change. You adapt. That's the way you're going to be more successful. So if in dementia, don't try to rationalize. Okay, try to see it from their perspective. Understand where they are on their journey and work from there. It's kind of working with it's like a pilot. Tell me the status of my craft so I can operate it to its best potential. I'm ex-military, sorry. To do's. Now, this makes common sense. First one, I think, is the hardest one. There's great books written by ones by David Soley, How to Communicate with Seniors. And it's like, he's like, hey, they operate on their time, not yours. So be patient. You see an opening, go for it. But if it's not there, be patient. Maybe it will open. Show empathy and understanding, probably the best thing you can do, really. I think with our agency, when Mike is on this call, you'll hear from him later as our MC in the Q&A. One of the best we've come across on the phone. It's just listen, take their side, have empathy, and it kind of flows from there. Then they just start talking. Try to educate them. This could be a little difficult, but when I got into this in 2014 as a technology guy, I had to learn a lot from Gina. And one of them, I kept mixing up home health and home care. And how many times she said, honey, that's home health. So, and a lot, and when we're in a home, when Gina's trying to explain home care, they're thinking home health, which is doctor ordered. So, get educated, and that the sons and the daughter need that too. They think they're experts, and they're really not. Focus an approach where it helped with my mother, and every person is unique. But when we're getting the pushback, I said, Mom, do you understand how this is affecting me and the kids? If you do this, it could change our lives and really make things better. And they can go, oh, I don't really need this, but I'm going to do it for Tim. That's a good tactic. And then try to ease their concerns about cost, and don't blow them off. They may have the money, but you've got to kind of take it as a concern. So those are some do's and don'ts. It will most likely take multiple conversations. You think this is a one and done. That's probably not going to be the case. And I think everybody on this call, Angela and Marcia and Anne Marie, would totally agree. It takes multiple conversations. That's right. You do little by little by little, and you educate, and there may come the point where, okay, And another key point in David's book and How to Communicate to Seniors is somehow give your loved one the sense of control. Because when you're getting older and you start losing your friends and losing your abilities, you feel like you're losing control. And that's like, that puts you in a bad place. So somehow you can give them the sense like, you're steering here, Mom. Here are some paths we could take. We feel this could be your best path, but you know what? Your call. It's not easy, okay? But the more you can give them that sense like, wow, I've got control, that's a real positive. So in that vein, present things as options. Get out of the my way is highway. Here are your options. Sometimes there isn't an option, but hopefully there are a couple of alternatives. And then eventually, though, you got to decide. And sometimes you may have to decide for Mom, depending on the dementia, depending on their state, their safety. You're not a bad son or daughter. Safety is the big thing, and there's professionals in this call. And that's one of the really points here. So it's not all you. Son and daughter, Gina and I will test, is really tough. When you get a professional like Marcia or Angela or Anne Marie, it's a different perspective and the light bulb may go on. So I'll introduce Gina, who will introduce Emma here shortly, but know if you have an aha moment after this seminar, we've done something, to know there are great people that can help. There's amazing people that you can put on your team and help your family member. And having a non-family member professional say it is way different than you saying it, because they'll look at, well, she's a nurse. Oh, and it's a different conversation. So with that, let's meet Emma, who of course says she's fine and doesn't need any help. Gina.
Doesn't Emma look lovely? So she is a recent widow, and she moved in with her daughter after her husband passed away, and things were working pretty smoothly until this stay-at-home order. And now the daughter has to work at home. And the more she's home, the more she's realizing perhaps there's some issues with Mom. She may not be taking the medication the way the daughter thought she was. And she is wearing the same clothes every day. And she's starting to wonder. She doesn't know, but she realizes something's going on. She's had a couple of falls and thankfully hasn't gotten hurt. Now she won't get in the shower because she's afraid. So the daughter was able to talk to the doctor, and they got some occupational therapy coming into the house. So daughter is trying to work, and it's kind of helpful that Mom's sleeping all day, but unfortunately Mom is now wandering around all night. So the daughter's up all night. So, and Emma, before this stay-at-home order, she was going to the senior center. She was very social. She went to church. She had the church activities, and everything now has changed. And the daughter's kind of at her wit's end. She's tired. She's exhausted. Now her brother, who lives out of state, he does a Zoom call. Mom looks great. She says everything is fine. I don't need any help. I've got, I look wonderful. So now the brother and sister have differing opinions, and they're just like, fine. And a friend of hers said, well, I had a friend who did home care. Maybe if you have some home care come in for your mom. And she's like, well, I don't think my mom will want that, but we'll talk to them. So they make an appointment with us, and I'll go out and meet with them. And the first thing that I do, that RNs more aware do, is look at the whole picture. Well, we call it an assessment. It's a conversation. Tell us what's going on. And we do a lot of listening. There's issues with it. Who does that? Oh, my daughter does that. Oh, my daughter does that. And I'm watching the daughter, who's exhausted, saying, I can't continue that. So we explain our role, what we can do. We can make sure we have consistent caregivers, because it's really important to form that bond, because I've never had help before, and I really don't need that. So we do work with the therapists. We listen to them say, in the shower, she might need this kind of help. It's very important that we do that. We do train all of our caregivers with dementia, because dementia is difficulty with processing. Part of it is losing their memory, but it's a process. It's how they process information. So of course, one of their first concerns is, you know, I don't want a caregiver in my house with this COVID. So we tell them that every day they have to take their temperatures, they have to answer questions that have they been in contact with anyone, they haven't traveled, they have no respiratory symptoms. Previous to this, we say we've never let them go to work when they're sick, and we are extremely careful now. They all have the protective masks. When they're not within 6 feet, we do let them take them off because it is a little frightening to people. But we're being very careful to limit the caregivers that go see a particular client. So we would, and it would be ongoing. So we would say, this is what we can do. And, you know, the daughter, while you're working, you know, well, we could make the meals. The caregiver and Emma could work together to get the meals done. And it can be presented as, this is help for the daughter. This is, you know, she can't, the laundry's not getting done, the house isn't picked up, the meals aren't getting done. So we're really there to help out the daughter and to see, you know, and we still get pushback. Nothing's written in stone. You know, right now, the stay-at-home order, maybe if somebody comes in at night and tries to get Emma back to bed, you know, a soothing person, and can get her days and nights back in order, then maybe we switch and have daytime, have a caregiver there during the daytime so the daughter can work. And we reassure them, nothing, you don't have to keep us. As things change, we can decrease service and stop them altogether. But then we get the wind of the brother saying, this is ridiculous. You don't need home care. Besides, I'm really, really concerned that maybe, you know, maybe I've heard about this adult daycare. That would probably be better for mom because she's really social and she's missing all her socialization. But the brother and sister are really not on the same page. So we love referring out. We are one piece of the picture that takes care of folks. So the daughter's exhausted, needs some help in the house. Mom's not getting the personal care, is not really taking care of herself as she should. We really need a quarterback. We need someone that's going to get the family on the same page. I think that's the best first step. And they can think about home care, or they could think maybe adult daycare. So I would then call our lovely friends at Preferred Living Solutions and say, you know, I have a family that I think you could really help. And we give that family, here's their contact information. So we would turn it over to Angela.
Welcome, Angela.
Thank you, Gina. Thank you. Yeah, so I've always thought, wouldn't it be great if we had, you know, just one thick book where we can all agree on when, you know, and when mom says that she doesn't need help, and we can just kind of go to that particular page and say, Mom, yes, this is what you need to do. It says it right here. But that doesn't exist. So that's where sometimes care managers come in. And, you know, a lot of times, you know, the initial calls will come from the adult daughter or the adult son, not really knowing what to do. And of course, in this case, I've been calling her Emma Jr. in my head in terms of the adult daughter. So, you know, families, lots of different ideas of safety, lots of different ideas of well-being and the family dynamics and the things that you mentioned, Gina, as far as son and daughter not being on the same page. That is something that is often the case, and a lot of times it's really doing that overall assessment and having a third party come in to make suggestions and things like that, and maybe talk with the son from that is far away and kind of tell him from a different perspective other than the sister, where they may have some baggage and things like that. That he's probably not going to listen to her, and she's frustrated with him, etc. So, so that's where I would come in, and I would like to do an overall assessment and get the opportunity to meet Emma. And again, I know with the COVID-19, it's hard to go to her house maybe, you know, and to gather that information. So from her perspective, and so it may be that I'm on FaceTime with her, if that's a possibility, just kind of hearing from her perspective. And I think that, one of the things, getting back to the immediate need would be, mom is, she's sleeping all day and up at night. And one of my initial thinking is, why is that? I would, is there anything medically going on? So I would want to get that checked out by a primary care doctor. So that would maybe one of the first things that I would, recommend. It is, is it simply she's getting her days and nights mixed up? Is she in any pain? What's going on? And so that again would be one of the things that I would have, have them check out. And that's again, something that I could certainly help them with, in terms of being that advocate with the doctor, being the, lots of folks are doing telehealth kinds of things. And so that might be something that we get started. So I guess another thing that would be, on my mind is this living situation, is it just short term? Is it something that is mom, is she okay living there? Is this something that we are going to, continue to put resources in place while she's, at her daughter's house, or are we looking at other options? So, some families, they may not know what they're doing later that day, much less next week, next month, or a year. So again, as a care manager, I absolutely get that. A lot of times we're crisis driven. So, again, getting back to the current situation and what's going on with her now as far as the sleep is concerned, and really trying to hone in on that. So another thing that kind of that I had too is, she's recently been widowed. Has she been able to process those feelings? Is she depressed? So again, those would be things that I would ask the doctor to, or to give that, make sure that the doctor is aware and giving him or her all that information so they can perhaps screen for depression. And it may be that we all, especially now, we're getting our days, and I know that I have been getting my days and nights mixed up. And so it could be as something as simple as that, and just trying to get that regular routine, back going again, and of course, safely in doing that. So, and as I mentioned, before, having a third party perspective come in is different, rather than having your daughter tell you what you need to do, or making the suggestions, because they are just that. They are, that's my daughter. I'm the mother. I'm not going to. I know what's best for me, and so that's where somebody such as a care manager can come in and hopefully develop that relationship, and not have the baggage or that emotional piece, if you will, associated with that. So what else? Let's see. And I know that the concern too is the lack of socialization, and and again, now is just such a challenging time because of the situation and the COVID-19, and what are some options? And I think that one of the first things I would find out is what did Emma used to do for fun? What was she like? What did she used to do? Did she go to church? And I know that I believe, Gina, you had mentioned that she had that she was going to church, and so maybe it's a matter of scheduling phone calls with her church friends, and just setting up FaceTime if possible, if she would be willing to do that, and what other kinds of activities might be useful or meaningful for her. And so those are the things that I would try to help gather and make suggestions as we build that relationship. And it's not just a one-time kind of you know, deal. It's a continuous conversation with Emma, and letting her know that I'm not going to tell her what's right and what's wrong, what she should do or what she shouldn't do. Certainly, we all have our opinions, but my approach has always been that you know, I'm going to try to make whatever you would like to happen, of course, in a safe environment. But again, my approach is much like you had alluded to earlier, Tim, is that I'm not going to tell you what you need to do, what you should do, what your kids are telling you should do, because Emma is an adult. Now, if, you know, with that being said, you know, based on, you know, her cognition and things like that, there are certainly ways and different ways of communicating. But getting back to, you know, the shoulds and the wouldn'ts and things like that is not really in my vocabulary when I'm trying to build that relationship. And so the hope is you know, getting back to the, you know, the socialization piece, you know, is adult daycare appropriate? You know, is that something that she would be willing to do? And it might be that she wouldn't necessarily go with her daughter, but if I were to, you know, swing by and I don't know, we run by Ben and Jerry's ice cream and get ice cream. I'm always a big fan of that. And I don't think I've ever been turned down with other, you know, folks I've worked for, especially if I'm, you know, offering to buy. And maybe we go visit SarahCare if that's appropriate. And again, I know that with the COVID-19 restrictions and things like that, we have to be really careful. But for us, again, it's continuing to build that relationship. And as we move towards, you know, other goals and things like that, that Emma might start trusting me, and we could potentially get to a point where, you know, other suggestions such as, you know, home care and things like that, she might be more receptive to. And a lot of times, you know, if I'm introducing a home care company, for example, I am there with the family and, you know, making that introduction. So Emma would know that, you know, I'm there. The home care person, and a lot of times, you know, Gina has been a real trooper in terms of, you know, understanding the dynamics and rolling with whatever might be going on in that given situation, and understands that you know, we're all just trying to do what's right, and so all that to be said is that I think that a lot of times if you're there with the person who's needing the help, letting them know that that we're all in this together. So
I think a good way to pick it up at this point is you've made some suggestions. We've got home care, and you focus on socialization. So I think and you've suggested maybe swinging by SarahCare. There's a good pizza place around the corner also.
Absolutely, I've been there. Delicious.
So I'd like to introduce Marcia, and Marcia talk about, in this time of COVID, the benefits of what is it and the benefits of adult daycare. Welcome, Marcia.
Well, thank you. So, you know, obviously the benefit of adult daycare is the socialization component. It's also the component that allows the individual to still maintain their independence, gives them a real opportunity to show that they're still part of the community. And I think that's what we all want, is to still feel a part of something. Obviously, this time during COVID, it's a little challenging. You know, my center is the only center in the area that's currently open, and we will remain open. But we're also in a position where we're not taking new people in because of the pandemic, but we're open to care for those individuals that absolutely need our care right now. But in terms of Emma, you know, just talking about who that person is, she would be an ideal candidate for a combination of home care and adult daycare. Most specifically because of the social component that adult daycare programs can offer an individual. And, you know, Tim, you've said it, and Angela, you've said it, you know, the key to getting somebody to do something that maybe they're a little hesitant to try is to genuinely listen to where they are, where they're coming from, and try to shift the thoughts and the ideas to make them theirs. You know, we all want to think that we're in control of our lives and our own destinations, and you know, we can, just by listening, can help that individual make the transition to receiving the care that they need, both in the home and, you know, as part of the community, such as, you know, looking to join an adult daycare center. You know, I have conversations with families all the time, and, you know, I hear my mom or my dad, you know, my wife, husband, whatever, would never go to an adult daycare center. Well, I got to agree with that. There's not a single person that says, ooh, sign me up, I want to go to adult daycare. But we have to say what we are, and that's what we are. We're an adult daycare center, but we can get people to try us out by, you know, changing the words. And, you know, it's okay to make a little exaggeration to what the place is really all about. Maybe it is a club to somebody, maybe it's work to somebody. Call it anything else but an adult daycare center, and people will be a little bit more receptive to trying it. For Emma, with her being as social as she is, she could come in as a volunteer. And maybe that's the approach that the children take with her, is to say, Mom, I found this really great place. It's a place where you can volunteer. They're looking for peer-to-peer volunteers, and that means a senior helping a senior. I have this one gentleman that comes, and he does think he's actually here for work. And I occasionally pay him cash, of course, that I get from the family that says it's payday. And he says, you know, at the end of the day, when I say, you know, thank you so much for all that you have done today, he says, what have I done? And I'm like, you have made people smile. You have helped us out by just dancing and carrying on and having a good time. And I said, so here's a little something to say thank you, because you're an important part of our center. And he takes that envelope, and the wife gives me like $10, right? And it's cash. And to see the smile on his face, because he feels like he's contributed, you know, even if it just means he's there because he's making somebody laugh and somebody smile. You know, at the end of the day, we all want to feel important, and we all want to feel like we can give back. So that's how adult daycare centers can really help somebody like Emma to just feel like they still have value. And I tell people, we have something to give right up to that very last breath we take. And, you know, whether it's in the home or whether it's in a center, we have something to give. And I think that's what we're all striving for. So, you know, in this time of COVID-19, you know, yes, there's definitely restrictions on what we can do out in the community. But I would be, you know, like Angela said, maybe take Emma out for you know, ice cream, and then maybe just do a walk by of an adult daycare center, of SarahCare, and, you know, peek through the windows and say, you know, this could be a really fun place once this is over, and maybe get Emma to say, yeah, I want to try that out. And, you know, I think that's just the way to do it, is to listen to who she is, and build on that. So that's kind of where I'm at with this COVID-19, and how we can help one another out.
And really, some people, when they're looking into resources like the people on this call, they think it's kind of an all or nothing kind of proposition. I can speak from practical experience. My mom did go to SarahCare. you know, I really didn't know Marcia at the time, got to know Marcia real well now. But mom was at a small residential home care. Not a lot of people know about, but they're in essence, you know, it's a residence and you have like 6 family members, and she was the first one. And mom was understandably lonely. And someone told me about adult daycare. And when I introduced the concept, mom kind of looked at me and said, I remember I put you in daycare. And I was like, yeah, I remember, I really liked it, mom. So, and end of the day, she looked forward to going. She looked forward to the transportation there, which sometimes was Marcia, and then spending the day there. So, and it really worked well. So, you know, I applaud that. But say in the situation, Emma is really in a depressed state. We're having a hard time making these conversations and connecting. So there's other resources that Angela could contact, and I said, I recommend maybe you talk to Silver Linings and get some professional counseling. So at this part, I wanted to introduce Anne Marie to kind of close out our chapter with Emma before we get into Q&A and talk about a little bit about Silver Linings and how she can help in this whole process with Emma. Welcome, Anne Marie.
Hey, welcome. Thank you for having me. When we talk about Emma being lonely, having trouble accepting care, not wanting to leave the home, not wanting to accept people coming in, one of the things I always say is get back to point zero. What makes Emma happy? What would make her feel grounded, safe, and secure? Because if they're feeling safe and secure, they're going to open up and listen more. They're not defensive. They're not going, I don't want to hear anything you have to say because you're trying to lock me up. They want to hear. They want to know what you've got to say. So then you start working with them, and you bring in people from Aware Senior Care, and they start bonding with their home care person. And then the home care person starts to notice there are some problems. They're watching too much TV. They're getting too involved in the corona stuff. So then they say, well, why don't you just take a couple deep breaths, start talking about other things, start finding activities they enjoy. And then they slowly say, well, you've enjoyed talking to me and we've been able to kind of boost your mood a little bit. How about we talk to somebody who really knows more about this than I do and can really help you feel better and cope with this better and deal. And then if a family would refer out maybe to Silver Linings and say, hey, my mom's depressed. The caregiver has told me that they've noticed A, B, and C. Is this something you can work with? And of course, we're willing to work with them. We do telehealth. So we don't have to go to your home, but we can. We're still going to homes during COVID. Very carefully, mask, gloves, the whole enchilada, because we want people to be safe. But we also know that sometimes seniors especially don't want to do telehealth in a computer format like we're doing. They want to have somebody there. We want to work with them and help them feel better, because whether you take deep breaths or you meditate or you stop reading about the coronavirus, if you're still stressed and still feeling depressed, you need help, and you need to move beyond the present mode to something better. Maybe it's going, to SarahCare, or it's reaching out to somebody else, but it's finding what's going to give you hope. And a lot of people here have said, don't act like you know everything. It's their decision. It is their decision. But if the decision is harmful that they're making or not in their best interest, not your interest, what you want is irrelevant. Is it in their best interest? Can they live alone? Can they stay on their own? Can they stay doing what they're doing safely? It is their decision. If they're not safe, then reach out to someone who can help them become safe and make the right move and the right decisions. And mental health can certainly help with that. So thank you. I think that people need to know that there's help out there, whether it's the people on this chat room or if you're somewhere. I know last video we had people from California. There are people like us all over the world. We're some of the best here in the North Carolina area, but if you're outside of North Carolina, there are services. Please find them.
Well, thank you, Anne Marie. And just for the audience, I work with Anne Marie with my mother in Waltonwood. And the reason I engaged Silver Linings, I know about Silver Linings for a long time, his mom was, I noticed some depression, and Waltonwood, to their credit, said, Reevy, the nurse, said, Tim, we're noticing some not so great changes in Emily. She seems very down. And you need some help. So Silver Linings comes in, and then I have a partner to give me feedback. What's going on with mom? And I said, Mom, how do you like talking to Pat? And mom's like, she's really nice. And it doesn't have to last forever. So it's kind of like, and that's where Angela comes in, but with you, with a family, is you can reach out the resources when you need them. And they,
during transitions,
right.
a recent widow, a recent move, and now this, that's a lot to process. So having a professional help you process all that can make all the difference.
Sounding board,
Mhm.
that really. So we'd like to kind of conclude and go to a Q&A. And we have a great panel, and I know some questions are coming in. Micah's going to kind of take over. The bottom line is, if Gina and I went through dementia training with Teepa Snow, and we love the training format. One of them is like every session is, what was your aha moment? So I hope in this audience right now, one of the ahas, and there's probably several, like, aha, I need to make some changes. I'm approaching mom and dad, is the great resources that are in our community and around the United States that can help you, and know there's a team that can have your back. But you've got to make that decision. If you don't, nothing changes if nothing changes, right? So would encourage you to reach out to anybody on this call or anybody in this profession to help you build your team, to work with your mom and dad, to get them in the best place they can possibly be. So at this point, what I'd like to do is I'm going to turn it over to Micah. And can I spotlight? Yes, I can spotlight Micah here for a minute. And I'll stop the share. And Mike, I know some questions have come in, so I'd like you to take the point for me, and let's get the panels involved.
Yeah, no, it sounds good. So we have had some questions come in, and one of them is actually more for Marcia. So, Miss Marcia, so someone's asking that my loved one was attending adult day center and was doing great, but now they're home all the time, and they're starting to see a decline in them. So what can I do now that they're not able to be at home adult daycare and they're starting to decline a little bit?
So I would just basically tell the person that they should reach out to the adult daycare center that they were attending and talk with the staff there, find out what types of activities they were involved in while they were at the center. And maybe it's something as simple as putting some arts and crafts programs together for them that they can do at home. Adult coloring is a really big thing, not just in adult daycares, but people do that for stress reduction, even if they don't have any cognitive decline. So maybe it's, introducing them to doing some things like that at their home that they were once doing at the center. But I would definitely reach out to those that are with the person every day and just ask, hey, what do you suggest we do?
That's great.
Good.
Thanks, Marcia.
I know I still like to do those adult coloring as well. It's a great stress relief.
Yeah, very much so.
Miss Angela, someone had asked for you. So now that my loved one is at home, they're wanting to sleep all day. Should I just let them sleep?
Well, so I think that I addressed that a little bit in my conversation, in that I think the concern is, why is the person sleeping? Is it, is anything medically going on? How often has this been going on? Again, we all get our days and nights mixed up, and I would, I would defer to would reach out to a primary care doctor to see what might be going on. Is she in any pain? Is she depressed? And just to try to find out more information. And is she, again, it's just a vicious cycle, we get into in terms of this sleep all day and up all night. So really trying to, hopefully it is just the the days and nights getting mixed up, and just being able to set some routines back up again to get back on track. So
routines are important.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's great.
Boring yet important.
Yeah. Miss Anne Marie, I think there's a follow-up question to you then. So because this person feels that their loved one's starting to get a little depressed, and they've mentioned maybe some assistance, some counseling, but they don't seem motivated. So the question is, how do I help motivate her to accept assistance, my loved one to accept assistance?
Great question. We get that a lot with seniors not wanting, people in general actually thinking, I'm well, I don't need help, or I don't want to open up and share with somebody. And what I always suggest is offer to be there for the procession. Say, well, would you mind if I had so-and-so just come over to talk? Don't call them a therapist. Don't call them a counselor. Just say, I'd like to have my friend Sarah Jane come over, or my friend Pat, as Tim mentioned, come on over and talk. And as they start talking and Pat and your mom or dad or loved one become more friendly and maybe bond, then you can step out and let them talk. And we often will say to a patient or a client, you know, I know you didn't want therapy, or you don't want counseling, you don't want someone to talk to, but if you give me an hour, at the end of the hour, if you don't like me, that's okay. You don't have to be there. But if you do like me,
Yep.
then I'll come back and keep providing services. And by the end of the hour, I usually love it.
And just
Very
to
nice.
follow up, just for Anne Marie, Micah, real quick, I know this commonly comes with Anne Marie. A lot of people want to know, do your services covered under insurance?
Yes, we take Medicare and other insurances. We do not take Medicaid, but we do take Medicare. We don't like to turn people away. So if you have a need, call us. And if we can't help you, we will absolutely find someone who can. Our goal is to help everybody one person at a time. I always say I have the best job in the world. And I think this is true for everybody on the panel. We have the best job in the world because we get paid to help people smile. We get paid to make people feel better one session at a time.
That's well said, and I can attest to that. And I think for everybody, because Mike will take one more question, but I know a lot of people out there are like, they're managing their finances, and a lot of people want things for free, and some things are for free, but you can imagine they're professionals, and you can see professional caregivers, for example. It's a profession, so there costs money. But we all on this call always look at insurance. We look at home health. We try to use benefits before you get into the private pay. Everybody on this call is on the same page. We understand how much it costs, and we're great. Everybody in this call is great to work with. They're trying to make it affordable and and leverage insurance best we can. So Micah, one more question for the audience, if you could.
Yeah. So this one's actually for you, Tim. You had mentioned a couple times a book. They're looking to see what's the name and the author of the book that you referred to a few times.
Yeah, I would just, if you could, go to our website, and we have resources we call our circle of support, and you'll see a recommended reading. We do read, there's a lot of great books. That one's by author David Soley. I'm sorry, David Soley, spelled S-O-L-E. And his book is about bridging the communications gap with seniors, how to say it with seniors. So if you go to our website, you'll see David's book. I read it cover to cover. And he was a professional supporting financial planners, like these estate planners, and these financial companies have a hard time getting seniors to create a plan, and they found it was fascinating, and he studied it. And I think a lot of people I think Marcia talked about purpose. We talked about purpose. Is he takes a completely different approach when talking to seniors to understand where they are on their journey, their purpose, what would bring them joy. And then in communication, talks about the art of control or perceived control. So all the things we said at the beginning, like don't push them, don't back them in a corner. David's book is great. I highly recommend it. It helps you be a better person, a better communicator, but understand seniors are like David's, like they're developing like a child, but their development journey is different from where they are, but there's a lot of parallels to that. So it's a great book, and I highly recommend it. Thank you for asking that. With that, I think I want to thank our amazing participants, Marcia, Angela, Anne Marie, Micah, and Kyle in the back. Thank our producers. But I hope you've all gained something from today, listening to all of us. We have a common bond of trying to help people and live the best lives they can. So with that thought, live the best life you can today. Something special, maybe reach out to somebody and say hello that you haven't spoken to in a while. So God bless, and
Thank you.
thank you very much.